when making a 20-year vision, how do you personally like to approach it? Do you start at 20 and work your way backwards, or do you start at year one and work your way forward, or something completely different?
I don't have a 20-year plan. I actually don't even know what I'm going to have for dinner tonight, let alone what I'm going to be doing in 20 years. So the 20-year plan isn't a thing for me. Now, there might be long-term goals and objectives, but they're loosely and broadly defined. They're not really hyper-specific. I get hyper-specific when you start getting into the sub-12-month category. So what am I going to do this year? And specifically, what am I going to accomplish this quarter? That's where I get really, really specific. But I do have a vision for myself, but it's not what am I going to do? It's who am I going to be? And there's a real distinction about the way I'm going to show up for my family, the way I'm going to show up in this business and this movement that we're creating, how I'm going to look physically, mentally, emotionally, my connection and relationship with God. That's who I'm going to be. And then I leave how it's going to happen, with the exception of my next 90 days to 12 months. I let the results take care of themselves because I don't know what's going to happen. 10 years ago, if you would have said, hey, Ryan, you're going to be running this movement of millions and millions of men all rallying behind the cause of reclaiming and restoring masculinity, I'd have been like, what the hell are you even talking about? I was doing well in my financial planning practice and I enjoyed it for the most part. And I was making good money. I knew how I wanted to show up, but if I wasn't open because I had pigeonholed myself into some plan over 20 years, I may not be in this position right now, and you may not be listening to this podcast. So I tend to look at the longer term as more behavioral and idealistic rather than pragmatic and practical, because I don't know what that's actually going to look like. There's new technology. I'm going to have new experiences. 2 years ago, I got a divorce. That wasn't in my cards. I hadn't planned for that. And that changes me. So now I'm a divorced man, a single father. And so what does that look like? And how does that impact the way I view the world and the way I view the work that I'm doing? I would have never have guessed that. That wasn't my dream or goal or vision or anything like that, but it happened nonetheless. And so we need to adjust and pivot. But I always know what kind of man I want to be and how I want to show up. And then the most I'm going to get in practicality is 12 months out, but more specifically, 90 days at a time. What is it specifically that I'm going to accomplish in each area or aspect of my life? That's how I plan personally. And that's very much in alignment with what we do in the Iron Council through the battle planning process.
I think that's powerful. I had very similar thoughts on that, as like the 20 years really far out. I would say something that is helpful just to like make sure that you're centered on who you want to be as a man. We've done this here in the Iron Council is write your eulogy. Like write down what you want people to say about you when like after you die. Like everybody's gathered around. How many people are there? Is it a party? Is it somber? Is your family there? Do you have great grandkids? Like what does that look like? And what stories are they going to tell? Like, oh man, dude, that guy will jump out of any airplane all the time, goes on all the hunts, does the thing. Or is it, man, he was so genuine and kind and nice and friendly. Or, dude, have you seen his car collection? It can be anything you want it to be. But at that point, that kind of sets that direction. So you have a compass. You just kind of know where you want to be.